going on, guys? Welcome to the Third and 10 podcast, episode number 52 of season 2 is now live. Man, I will say it's been a fun NFL season, Brian. Not so much for our
Well,
team, of course.
cool. I don't know about fun's the right word for us. It's been
No.
interesting.
Yeah, for us, it's more of a glad that season's over, let's move on type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adjust my headphones here. But for 14 teams in the NFL, their chance at a Lombardi Trophy is still alive, while 18 teams are sitting at home on their couches having to watch these teams battle
Jealous,
for
wondering
something.
what's it going to take for us to one day be one of these 11 teams.
Yeah, for the Giants, we have a lot of things
A
that we
lot of
need
work
to
to
do
do.
as a
A
team.
lot of work to do.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, but we hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for stopping by once again. You can follow us on our Twitter pages at Third and 10 Pod. You can follow me and Brian at our social media links below, or the usernames below, and we'll mention that at the end of the show. And for those of you on YouTube and Spotify, make sure to subscribe, as well as that means a lot to us. And comment at your any thoughts or topics you want us to cover on our next episode. As yeah, we'll go from there. Well, Brian, um, as mentioned, 32 NFL teams entered this 2024 season with a just one goal in mind, just to get into the playoffs and battle for the Lombardi Trophy. 14 teams have accomplished that first
The first
obstacle.
step.
Exactly, first step, first obstacle, whatever you want to call it. Now, everyone is now 0-0 because, well, the Lombardi Trophy is waiting for them at the mountaintop, and these teams will battle it out. This week is the wild card round, so seven teams make the playoffs in each conference for the AFC and the NFC. For those who don't know, only the number one seed now gets a bye week. So the Kansas City Chiefs, which they don't deserve it, but I won't go into it too much, and the Detroit
The
Lions.
black magic continues.
I know, it's like every week they figure out how to win, whether it's like casting a spell on the opposing team. For example, the Houston Texans, when Tank Dell got hurt, that was a nasty
Are we
injury.
sure Taylor Swift is not a witch? Are we sure?
I don't know. She may not be at the games as much.
These are the questions we need to ask.
She may not be at the games as much, but maybe her.
She's launching her voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
That
and just the Chiefs
I'm
with
about to get crucified by the Swifties online. Oh well.
It comes
if you can't stand a joke against your favorite artist, maybe you should look in a mirror and ask yourself, what's wrong with my life?
It comes with the territory sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
So
I'll fight the Swifties day in and day night. I know I'm not the crazy one.
You'll handle them easily.
I'm not wearing diapers to watch the Mets.
I think you didn't tell us that story about being like Swifties were like wearing
diapers. Wearing diapers. They were going through traumatic. They were having amnesia because they were so overwhelmed by the Taylor Swift concert that they literally went through like the same thing a soldier or a mother goes through when they come back from war or go through childbirth. It's the same thing. You shouldn't have that reaction from a concert. I've been to Kenny Chesney concert. I love Kenny Chesney. I remember every single second of that concert.
It confuses me because it's like, couldn't they just have used the restroom or something before they go to the concert?
They can't leave because she's going to sing whatever song. It's like, guys, like, it's okay.
Like, just get there early, use the restroom, and then get to your seat or blah, blah, blah.
You're in a cult. You follow Taylor Swift as a cult leader. Very simple. If you admit that, I'll respect you. But you don't.
If you don't, then we're going to have issues.
They're not going to make fun of you.
Damn right. So, yeah, for the Chiefs, they somehow, someway, clinched the number one spot. 15-2, they finished on the year. Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, should have deserved it, but they didn't win enough games as much as the Chiefs. Simple as that. So, In the NFC, though, a team that's well deserving, the Detroit Lions clinched the bye week after their win in Week 18 over the Minnesota Vikings. It's kind of unfortunate to see the playoffs kind of structured as it is.
Yeah. I
Because
miss the old structure. I miss the first and second teams getting buys. I would love to go back to that right now.
Oh yeah, me too.
Makes way more sense.
It's more deserving because the Minnesota Vikings, the 14-3 they finished on the year, and for them to be just the fifth seed is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this roughly on Tuesday. That's just how good the NFC North in particular was, because both the Lions, Vikings, and Packers, I should say, all made the postseason. The Chicago
And it's
Bears
the
were the
Bears.
only. Yeah, the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. But yes, the Bears were the only team in that division to not make the postseason, just as much as the other 17 teams that did not make it in their
Did you see
respective
the
divisions.
report from the Bears where like they're only doing Zoom meetings for their first round interviews, and they're like, coaches are asking like, "Can you fire Ryan Poles?" And they're like, maybe if you want to come here, we'll fire Ryan Poles." It's like, what?
And it's like, isn't the GM part of the search? And it's like, yeah, but
Ryan Poles like, I'm sitting right here, guys.
It's like, I'm right here, part of the search. Why do y'all want me gone for? Well, because the coach wants you gone. But it's like, but I'm part of the search. It's well,
what a backwards. I mean, that's gonna be a great argument one day. Who runs their team worse, Morrow and the Giants, or the McCaskies with the Bears? Both similar situations.
or the Titans and the their owner too, because
yeah, I was thinking more of like the Bears and Giants, because they're both like historic franchises. Have been in the league since like its founding, like both legacy owners type thing. Like who's like just like I think they're far from the worst owner. The worst owner is Woody Johnson. But like if you look at it, it's like, why are these two legacy owners so bad, and which one's worse?
I would argue sort of us, but maybe things turn around in 2025.
I mean,
we'll
I
see.
could argue us, but like we have a Super Bowl under John Mara. The Bears haven't sniffed a Super Bowl since '85.
The days of Butkus and
the Super Bowl shuffle. Like their best quarterback's been Jay Cutler. Like at least we've had a Hall of Fame quarterback since the World War II. Because I don't know when was the last good Bears quarterback, and why is it Jay Cutler?
Yeah, can't think of anyone else. Fields, no. Grossman, no.
No. Rex Grossman got to the Super Bowl and they got blown out by Peyton. Yeah, nope. Next.
All right, Caleb, you better step it up, buddy. But in terms of this postseason, there'll be 6 wildcard matchups this weekend. So we're going to preview all 6 of those. Won't go for too long for each one, but we will discuss, in each of them, I should say, in particular length, and then we'll discuss also the 2 college football games this week, starting today with Notre Dame and Penn State, followed by tomorrow with Texas and Ohio State. So, all right, without further ado, let's get started, shall we?
Jump right in.
Matchup numero uno, Chargers, Texans, and we still have this Halloween font. I don't know how to change it. I really don't.
Don't change it. It's great. Okay. Love it.
Fantastic. We'll keep it. So all-card matchup number 1 is the Chargers and the Texans. So how did we get here exactly for these 2 teams? Now, for the Chargers, let's be honest, Brian. First year on the Jim Harbaugh, no one expected this team to have the success they've had. No.
I mean, I think people expected a step forward because like Harbaugh is like an actual coach and not whatever Brandon Staley is. But like, I don't think people are expecting the 11-6 record here and just dominating teams. Like they had a really good chance if the Chiefs weren't, being run by a witch doctor to win the AFC West.
Yeah, but it's like they were 2-2 to start the year, and it's like, okay, for me, looking at that team to start the year, I was like, okay, they'll probably be like a 9-8 team.
Yeah.
Maybe sneak in as like the 7th seed, but maybe just like a sort of
like the hunt. Like when the graphic pops up, it's gonna be in the hunt. Chargers.
Yeah, and like if they didn't make the postseason, I would still be, excited for them because they still have Herbert. It just may take some time for the receivers to grow, like McConkey. The running game was also a big question mark because Dobbins, right, last year had that ACL.
Yeah, what are we gonna get from him?
Exactly. Gus Edwards was and it's like there was no clear star on that offense outside of Justin Herbert that was going to step up. They drafted Joe Alt, which was phenomenal, right? A great building block to the offensive line,
I
to
mean,
be
that guy's
honest.
just gonna be a Hall of Famer. Like
Dude,
everything about him is just football.
he's incredible. I
It
think
really is.
Pro Football Focus had him ranked as the 19th best tackle, both left and right side combined, just as a rookie. So that just shows he's really, really good.
This is a guy that got 4 penalties in his entire career at Notre Dame. Got
Dude,
4. 4.
he's he's good. He doesn't commit penalties. He's versatile. He can play both right and the left side, which is evident in Week 18 when Slater was out. So he went from the right side to the left side, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yeah.
vice
Or
versa.
vice versa. But like
Yeah,
he changed. He could play both sides, which is such a luxury to have in this league. You can have a guy that can kind of be a swing man and be at an elite level at both sides.
100%. So, and then defensively, they were, they had Derwin James, Bosa, all the things. And I said, okay, this team may finish 9-8. We were wrong. Well, I was wrong. They won 5 of their next 6 games, including a 34-27 win over the Bengals in Week 11. And then they ended the season going 3-0 against Denver, New England, and Las Vegas to finish 11-6 and clinch the 5th seed in the AFC, which is a pretty big accomplishment for them, considering, like you just mentioned, wouldn't expect them to kind of be in this spot. Justin Herbert had a pretty solid season, almost 4,000 yards, had 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, so did not turn the ball over
So good.
whatsoever. He was
So good.
really good. And like
I wasn't rooting for the Chargers to struggle, but like I'm
no.
like, if they struggle, Herbert could be available on that trade block. It's not the worst.
Yeah, because he is a franchise guy, but like the more if this team did struggle this year, there would be talks as to whether
Yeah.
maybe, yes, maybe it.
Struggle, and then because then you go down with Harbaugh trying to rebuild the roster. He didn't pick Herbert. No matter how good Herbert is, it's not his guy. Does he go get his guy? Like there were even
Mhm.
talks before the draft last year of the Chargers trading Herbert to get McCarthy. I don't know
That's right.
how like real they were, how like far along they were, but that did pop up. That was a
Yeah,
prevailing thought that, hey, watch out for this. This
yeah.
might happen.
And it wasn't a surprise to anyone if that was
No,
true, and if talks advanced that far, because you just mentioned, right, McCarthy and Harbaugh were together
they just won
at
a national
Michigan.
championship.
Exactly. So it's like it wasn't out of the picture, but Herbert has solidified himself as a QB1 for years to come for the Chargers, and Harbaugh loves him to death. We've seen it, during those post game, meetings in the locker room where Harbaugh's talking to the team, and Herbert, he's just, I don't mean to bring up the meme, I should say, the one where it's like, he's just a chill guy.
Just a chill guy.
He isn't really a chill guy. Herbert really is. But he was great this season as well. And then the running game that we just mentioned was a question mark to start the year. Well, J.K. Dobbins had a big resurgence, had I think 905 yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. After an ACL injury in 2023 with the Ravens, he came out in 2024, proved the doubters wrong, and I think it was only a 1-year contract with the Chargers he signed. I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll be back next year based off the season he had. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were, they departed this past off season, and that's like that was the big question mark as to, whether the Chargers were going to succeed on offense in terms of passing, because you lose both of your top receivers, I should say. And McConkey was unproven. Quentin Johnson had drop issues. Johnson still has drop issues to this day, but both receivers were really good, with McConkey reaching over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns, and then Johnson had 8 touchdowns of his own as well. Defensively, they're really good as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I thought at the beginning of the year they're going to be like an average unit. No, they just don't let teams score. They average just 17.7 points per game allowed, thanks to guys like Dalen Henley, who's a 3rd-round pick I never heard of before, to be honest, but he had 147 tackles. Whereas, and also 4th-round pick from this past draft, Tarheeb Steele leads the team with 4 interceptions. So just 2 mid-round picks from the past couple years leading the way for this defense, with James and Bosa and everyone else stepping up as well. So your thoughts on the Chargers, Brian? I know you mentioned a few thoughts just now, but any other thoughts on this Chargers team?
No, it's
And their
pretty much
success?
that. It's amazing what a well-coached team can do. It really
Um,
is. And I love them in this matchup against the Texans. I
I
hate
do.
this Texans team. I think they're going to struggle. I really love the Chargers this week.
You bring up the Texans, and yeah, they went 10-7 once again. They went 10-7 last year, but
But it wasn't an impressive 10 like last year was impressive 10-7 because it kind of where there was a surprise team. They were the like NFL darling. This year it felt like sure they went 10-7, but there was major regression from a lot of key parts of that team last year. And you're kind of like yeah, the Texans won the division, but did they win the division because they're good, or is the rest of the division that bad? Because you had the Jaguars who imploded, Titans suck, Colts are on and off, kind of in a weird limbo spot. Like, that's not a hard division. Like, the Giants in that division probably could go 500.
We would have a shot in that division.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, you play the Jaguars and Titans, they suck, or at least at the same level as we are.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you made a great point. Last year felt like a good 10-7. This season it felt like a regressing 10-7, which is crazy to say because
that makes lucky when 10-7. It should have been much worse, but you kind of clawed your way out of it.
Should have been maybe an 8-9, and maybe that would have still possibly made the postseason if everything kind of fell where they may. But Titans are bad, Jaguars are bad. I think Peterson. I don't think he's been fired. No, he's been fired already.
Yeah, Peterson's out. Out. But I think they're keeping the GM, so it makes no sense. So just fire everybody. Clean house.
It's clean house. Same thing with the Colts, who retained both the GM and head coach, but they also had a struggling season of their own. So
that's another
that's a story on its own.
That's another situation. The whole AFC South is just a situation.
It's a mess. So adversity, though, I would say is the best word to describe this team. They've gone through so many injuries. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon missing 3 games of his own. Honestly, it's crazy how they even made it this far. But like we just mentioned, weak division. And they're here, and that's all that matters, right? So CJ Stroud had a down year, though. 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, had 3,700 passing yards on the year. Mixon had 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Nico Collins remains the only healthy top receiver on this team. And defensively, Derrick Stingley had a great season of its own. That cornerback from LSU had 18 pass deflections and 5 interceptions. But let's be honest, I know we mentioned, a few of the top players on this Texans team, but I don't think they're going to make it to the divisional round. I have the Chargers winning this one.
Charged by 1 million.
I have it sort of close. I think, like you mentioned on Tuesday as well, not many of these games could be a blowout, but this does have potential because of the Chargers defense, like we just mentioned, only 17 points per game allowed. If they have their way against Houston, it's going to be ugly. And it's at
banged up offense that has Nico Collins as your number one option. Like, Mixon's fine, Stroud struggled. Like, that's not a great recipe for success, guys.
If they don't get the run game going, I think Houston's going to be struggling.
Yep.
For sure, because it's outside of Nico Collins. There's no proven guy. Maybe Dalton Schultz kind of steps up as a number 2 weapon, but other than that, I just don't see Texans.
Yeah, but like, how much impact is he going to have?
Exactly. I don't see it. So, yeah, got the Chargers in this one, and we'll go and see what happens from here. They are the first matchup that will be playing on Saturday for the wild card round to kick things off. All right. Matchup numero dos, which is more of a exciting one, I would say. Steelers and Ravens face off for the 3rd time this season. The Steelers won the first matchup 18-16, while the Ravens won the second matchup 34-17 on December 21st. For Pittsburgh, they say having 2 quarterbacks is kind of means you don't have one.
Yeah, 2 quarterbacks means you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. The Steelers said, hold my beer, and we'll debunk that theory for you. Justin Fields took over the first 6 games because of Russell Wilson's injury, and he led the team to a 4-2 record. He wasn't the most impressive guy, but he got the job done, and that's what matters. Russell Wilson came in against the Jets in week 7, won that game, beat us in week 8. Don't want to bring that too much, but
keep going. Next.
He went on a 6-1 hot streak to lead the Steelers to a 10-3 record through 14 weeks. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, Nate, there's 17 weeks in the NFL season. Why did you bring up just the first 14 or the first 14 weeks of the season? Shouldn't you mention that he was really good through the first 18 or the rest of the season, I should say? No. In typical Steelers fashion, they lost their final 4 games or collapsed to be exact, towards the end of the regular season, losing to the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals to finish the season 10-7. So that 4-game losing streak is a bit concerning because it's like we kind of saw their red flags, which is one of them I should say, is their running game. Najee Harris had a 1,000-yard season, but no one is happy with that because he barely, first off, got 1,000 yards. Second, he's just not that good of a back. It's
No.
all season long, it was him and Jalen. I mean, obviously Harris had a great game once or twice to, kind of reach that 1,000-yard mark.
You can't be that running back one in your offense.
Mm-mm.
You just
No,
can't.
sir. He was drafted to be, but
Yeah.
him and Jalen Warren had kind of split carries all year long. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that Harris it was the most unimpressive 1,000-yard season that we saw from him. And then, Russell Wilson had 2,400 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. But it's like, a big question mark for the Steelers team was the weapons in the receiving game. And outside of George Pickens, I guess Pat Freiermuth has stepped up in a way at tight end, had 7 touchdowns of his own, but Pickens with his drama.
I was going to say, Pickens is good, but can he just keep his head in the game?
He creates a lot of drama. Whether his frustration or just his antics on the field. I mean, none of them got him suspended, of course, but it was just like it's
a distraction you don't need. And yet again, it brings up, why do Steelers receivers keep happening? Why? It's Juju. It's Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Pickens now. Why do these receivers keep having this drama and it's off the field problems? Is there something wrong with the culture in that locker room?
Yeah.
Is there something? These are questions you need to ask. I know Mike Tomlin is a great coach, but at a certain point, the message gets old. Tomlin hasn't been to a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 45. When is it going to be, okay, it's what have you done for you lately? And it's been nothing.
It's like every top receiver the Steelers have some sort of
they flame out, yeah.
Deontay Johnson, right?
Yeah, even him. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, had that 0 touchdown season not too long ago. Got released, this past off season or trade, actually, one or the other.
He was traded to Carolina, and I think Carolina released him.
Because he was doing nothing. He was the top guy in Carolina, but he didn't do anything when he joined the Baltimore Ravens.
We could be top guys in Carolina.
Yeah, anyone could be good at the Panthers, but we digress. And then for defensively, Patrick Queen had 129 tackles for the Steelers team, but just that 4-game losing streak to end the year, especially against 3 of the 4 teams that we mentioned, the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals made the postseason. Bengals missing out barely. Should have been
legit tooth and nail after a bad season. It sucks that Joe Burrow is going to this season is going to be forgotten for him because it really is an MVP season.
If they made the postseason, there's no doubt
he's MVP.
100%. Unfortunately, though, you can only control what you can control, and losses to the Patriots kind of stand out for me from that Bengals, because if they beat the Patriots, they're in.
Yeah, and it sucks that week one, people say week, you kind of make up September. No, this is a prime example of every single game matters.
Because you just never know.
It's not like baseball, football, not like baseball, basketball, and hockey where you can start off cold and kind of rebound. If you drop a game early, that could screw you.
Yeah, 17 games. So you got to make everyone count, no matter how weak the opponent is. You got to win. And that 16-10 loss will always haunt the Bengals, I feel like, from this past season. But I digress. As for the Baltimore Ravens, though, sometimes paying a running back does help. And that's what the Ravens did by signing Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million contract this past offseason. And he had a great year, had almost 2,000 yards, but finished with 1,921 yards and 16 touchdowns for the Baltimore Ravens. They were 0-2 to start the year. Should have been 1-1 because of that. Isaiah Likely's foot was just too damn big against the Chiefs in week 1. But they won 5 straight after that 0-2 start, won 7 of the next 8 games after that, and they finished the year hot after the bye week as well, winning their final 4 games against the Giants, Steelers, Houston, and the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson, I will say, we'll dive into his postseason struggles a little bit in just a bit, I should say. But had over 4,000 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, and had 4 rushing touchdowns and 115 yards on the ground. Zay Flowers made his first Pro Bowl this year with 1,059 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then Mark Andrews, after a very, very slow start to the year,
Very
finished with,
slow. Oh my god.
oh my
Still, I had him
goodness.
in like every fantasy league. I had to cut him
I
after a
knew it.
while. Just like I can't deal with this anymore.
I think he had 0 touchdowns to like the first 7 weeks or so, maybe one
Yeah.
or two in that stretch, but finished the year with 11 of them. So he really stepped up late for the Baltimore Ravens. Defensively, Roquan Smith came from the Steelers to the Ravens, had 154 tackles of his own, and then Kyle Hamilton had 9 pass deflections. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL by far,
Oh,
and he's
without
very
question.
young. I knew you'd say that. Go Irish.
Go Irish.
And then Marlon Humphrey as well had 15 pass deflections and 6 interceptions to lead the team. So this Ravens defense has very good players all across the board on defense and offense as well. But I want to get your thoughts on both teams. I feel like, one major concern from either team is Lamar Jackson because
and Zay Flowers too, because he's banged up right now.
That is true, because I think Flowers is dealing with had that injury in week 18 where honestly he shouldn't have been playing anyways, but they played him, and that's the consequences when you play your top stars in a game that's kind of meaningless, right? If they were winning by a lot, you might as well just take him out. You weren't going to lose to the Browns, who were playing Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who is arguably the worst backup in the NFL. My goodness, you can tell they were tanking. They were.
My God, of course they were. They want a quarterback.
They were
not
not
Deshaun Watson next year.
Exactly. They were not trying whatsoever. But Flowers dealing with, I believe it's a leg injury, right? I think
so, yeah.
Yeah.
So. I would be shocked if he doesn't play, because I feel like you push yourself when the playoffs come around. But he's definitely not going to be 100%. And that's going to really affect this Ravens offense. And like you were hinting at before, Lamar Jackson, this is a guy that has historically struggled in these big games. Does taking out that star wide receiver, does that, put more pressure on him, get in his head a little bit, and it cause him to struggle even more? That's all we have to say. Now, that being said, I do think the Ravens still edge out in this game. I think their defense is just so good, and it's going to stop the Steelers offense. But to give, I don't know what the line's at right now, but the line was at 10 when it opened. I would take the Steelers plus whatever. I think it's going to be like a 17-14 Ravens victory.
Yeah, spread as 9.5 for those of you who
are wondering. God, take the Steelers all day. All day.
So Zay Flowers, he will not practice. He did not practice yesterday. Yesterday was the last full practice for the Ravens, I should say. And it's looked like it's going to be a long shot that he plays on Saturday with that knee injury. So it's going to be tough. I
think if he can run, he's going to push himself. I really do. Yeah. But I don't think he's going to be at full strength, which hurts him.
Yeah, he'll be a long shot officially, according to reports from different things. But I hope he does. They could use him. They need him. I'm sure if the Ravens lose somehow, the excuse will be they didn't have Zay Flowers, but there's Mark Andrews. There's other weapons on, Rashad Bateman as well. Those guys would need to step up for this Ravens team, but it's just Lamar Jackson. That's the main concern for me, because every year he has a great regular season, which is fantastic. But what matters most is how you do in the postseason, and he's just very inconsistent. Whether he makes mistakes or there's no excuse now, I should say. No. Yes, Zay Flowers is hurt, but if they can get past the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they should, there's no excuse why this team can't win the Super Bowl.
No,
because they have weapons on offense and defense. Lamar has been phenomenal all year long. And it's like, but for me, in my opinion, I don't think they'll make it past the divisional round.
No,
I don't care who they face in the next round. They're just not going to make it, because this is just how this Ravens team is. They just always collapse.
Yeah. Nope, you're right. You're unfortunately right. And it kind of stinks because this defense is so good. You want to see them, contend for a Super Bowl.
And you mentioned how Pittsburgh's going to cover the spread, but I just don't think they'll make it. It's just lack of weapons offensively.
Oh yeah,
they won't get the running game going against this Ravens defense.
Them covering the spread is more of the Ravens struggles, more of the Steelers being a good team. It's more just like the Ravens are being a little overrated in the matchup than the Steelers are.
Yeah. So that's your second wildcard matchup, which will be played after the first one between the Chargers and the Texans. So both of us have the Ravens, I assume.
Yep.
So easy, we'll move on from here. Matchup number 3, the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. Broncos 10-7, Bills 13-4. We'll talk about the Bills shortly, but major props to the Broncos, and specifically to their rookie quarterback, because after
Go
being
Knicks.
yes, sir, selected 12th overall this past year. Faced competition in the beginning of or before the beginning of the regular season with Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham, kind of fighting for that QB1 job. But let's
Can you
be
imagine
honest,
an alternate reality where Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham's the starting quarterback week 1?
it's like
They're
it's
not in
like
the playoffs right now. It's the Bengals.
it's like we want Bo Nix to learn behind like a veteran in Stidham or Wilson.
Does that mean
Nah,
those veterans?
yeah, nah. I will say they have a
We're
great.
really gonna consider Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson veterans. Like
Well,
what Zach Wilson? The only thing Zach Wilson can teach him is how to attract older women. That's it. That's the only thing Zach Wilson's good at.
I will say, all three quarterbacks have a great friendship off the field. They actually I forgot them and their wives bonded over. I think it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas, whatever, one or the other. But I digress. Not too important. But um, Bo Nix won the job to start the year. Things were kind of slow though, as for all rookie quarterbacks. We kind of typically see that slow start to start the year. Maybe they pick things up as things go along. But for Nix specifically, they were 0-2 to start the year. He didn't have like a passing touchdown at all the first 3 games. And actually in the first, I think 5 or 6, he had 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, did have 3 rush touchdowns. But the arm, the production with his arm,
translated. The arm
it
translated, which
all
I think was a big fear for a lot of us.
it sure
That
did.
arm can translate to the NFL level, and oh boy, is it a problem.
Because sometimes patience is all you need, right? And
Yeah.
for the Broncos, that's what they did with Nix. Was like, hey, you may have that slow start to the year, but we believe in you. We're not gonna take the job away from you. Just go out there, do your thing. We'll ride with you, and we'll go from there. Yeah. After that, a 4 touchdown or 3 touchdown performance against the Panthers with 284 passing yards as well. Things took off from there. And ended the regular season with multi-passing touchdowns in 7 of his last 8 games, including a 26 of 29 performance against the Chiefs in Week 18 to officially clinch the 7th seed in the AFC. Bo Nix had 29 touchdowns on the year, which was 6th most in the league, and his yards is also in the top 15. And his weapons, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, who I'm really, really happy about. Last year was just a down year, struggling.
He's come out of his. Amazing what happens when you have a quarterback.
Hey,
amazing
yeah.
What can happen with these guys?
All you need is just a great arm back there, and you can produce. And Marvin Mims definitely is a great example of that. Had 6 touchdowns on the year. And then Devon Vele was kind of an unknown guy, kind of steps up as that slot / number 3 receiver on Denver. And he came about kind of sort of late in the year and stepped up for the Denver Broncos. In terms of the running game, though, not a clear number 1 back with Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin kind of being 1 and 2 at times. Audric Estime came in at one point during the regular season and kind of dominated the running back room for a game or two, but those trio will be the ones leading the way in that backfield. Like I mentioned, no clear number 1 guy back there, but they'll
no need one. Today's NFL, you don't need a number 1 back anymore, and the Lions proved it. And now the Broncos are kind of proving it to an extent too.
Okay, you just need production, and those guys kind of work together to get over 1,000 yards total. So not a bad thing to see.
Nope.
Now the reward for making the postseason is taking on but the Buffalo Bills.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's great that you guys made it, but you're facing the Buffalo Bills team, which is the number 2 seed in the AFC.
I owe the Bills a big apology. I really do. I predicted them to fall apart this season, and they are my Super Bowl pick right now. I'll spoil it right now. I really think this Bills team has what it takes to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're my pick to make the Super Bowl all year long. Josh Allen was a top MVP candidate, if not the MVP candidate.
He's the MVP without
no question.
Just looking at what he did with the limited options he had, he didn't have Amari Cooper for majority of the year, and he wasn't great. His top receiving target was Keon Coleman and Shakir for a while. That's a major step down from Stephon Diggs.
100%. But he's had more success than I thought he would have without Diggs's. And maybe it's because, I think my bias or my answer to whether he'll struggle or dominate this year was from the fact that in the beginning of his career when he didn't have Stephon Diggs, he had major struggles. But hey, like I mentioned, patience is all you need, and development is all you need as well. And Josh Allen has developed into a top 5 quarterback in this league. Had over 3,700 passing yards.
And him and Haley Steinfeld are a better duo than Travis and Taylor.
That is correct. That is correct. A very how do I say this? A very more wholesome duo. Not to say Swift and Kelsey aren't, but
these are the kind of people you like see at the diner, like 10 o'clock at night. Like Travis and Taylor seem like they're better than everybody else. Allen and Haley seem like they're just like an average Joe. Like, yeah, we just happen to be a supermodel and a football player, but like, we like going to Target.
Yeah, there you go. And ever since the two of them got engaged, Allen has been on a whole different level. Especially that first game in the snow.
Did you?
Oh shoot, yeah. I mean,
no, yeah. Brady won 6 Super Bowls. Yeah, he went home to a supermodel every single night. No wonder.
Yeah, no wonder. The man had motivation and great support from one of the most.
Let's wrap this thing up. I want to go home.
It's crazy what a good woman can do for you, and that's a great example was Haley Steinfeld when she got with Josh Allen officially with that engagement. So. But Allen had a great season, over 3,700 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, had also 12 rushing touchdowns in the year as well. The Bills started the season off hot with 3 wins against the Cardinals, Dolphins, and Jaguars, respectively, scoring at least 31 points in those games, respectively. And then their win against the Chiefs was one of the highlights of that of their 9-2 start to the year. And then they finished the year 13-4, as mentioned, to clinch the number 2 seed. Now, honestly, they were they're a win away against the Rams in terms of possibly competing for that number 1 spot, because I can kind of guarantee if they beat the Rams late in the year, they would have played their starters against the Patriots, which would have forced the Chiefs to also play their starters in Week 18 because of the whole tiebreaker scenario for that. But I digress. We won't go into it too much.
You're opening Pandora's box at that point. At that point,
exactly.
The Bengals could be the first seed.
Exactly. So. James Cook had a great year as well in the run game, had over 1,000 yards and 18 total touchdowns. And then Khalil Shakir kind of stepped up as the number 1 guy, like you mentioned. Kind of helped the Bills offense kind of forget about Stephon Diggs. Keon Coleman, Matt Collins, Amari Cooper stepped up as well. On defensively, Dorian Williams led the team in tackles with 117, while Christian Benford at cornerback held things down with 10 passing deflections and 2 interceptions. And Damar Hamlin, I think, kind of shut down the thoughts of, hey, I'm not just a guy.
I'm not just a guy who died.
Nah, 89 tackles, 2 interceptions.
I mean, he will be. He will always be that. No matter what he does, it's always going to be. Remember when he died in the field?
Yeah, that's no matter what he does, unless he.
Like I was with I went to I work for a local minor league hockey team, and we did a trip to an EMS station showing us how to do breathing tubes, CPR. And the entire time, all I was thinking of was like, man, these are the people that saved Damar Hamlin. All this stuff saved Damar Hamlin. That's all I thought of the entire time I was there.
He was revived. Mm-hmm. But he had a good season, though, I would say.
He had a great season. The interception was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was going to be like a backup, but stepped in, starting safety. I think it was 3rd in tackles, I think.
Yeah.
Good season for him.
I mean, there were like legit rumors like will the Bills have to cut him? And he put the kibosh on that.
He's like, nope, and had a good season as well. So overall, yeah, I got Buffalo.
I got Buffalo. I got Buffalo running the table.
Yeah. I think this game may be a blowout depending on how Knicks plays.
I don't know. I really think this is going to be a fun over game. Like, I don't know what the over-under is, but I'm taking that over because I really think this is going to be like that Monday night game with Denver and Cleveland, where they're just back and forth all night. I think we're set up for that, and it's going to be beautiful.
Fireworks, bam, bam. I think this is the Saturday night game. So
perfect. Get the matinee, the prime time. Oh, perfect.
Yes, I think. Let me confirm. No, sorry. The Steelers and Ravens game is scheduled for.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Okay, so 2 games Saturday. The Broncos Buzzers are the first game to kick off Sunday. So my apologies.
So they're going to do the entire AFC, then the NFC?
Basically, the two AFC matchups on Saturday. The first one, yeah, because they have the Monday one with Minnesota and the Rams, and we'll talk about because that one.
I guess that's going to be. I put this on Monday night. I'd much rather Bills Broncos on Monday night. I think it's so much better storylines in this game.
Yeah, honestly, if both games were switched, there's kind of a big issue because of the fires in Los Angeles. And for those,
Yeah,
obviously, of
yeah.
course, prayers to
Of
those
course,
in
yes.
Palisades. That was scary. A lot of
Oh my god, the scenes,
evacuations.
it looked straight out of hell.
It's
Looks like
terrible.
extreme straight off hell. Never. Shout out to anyone out there. Please get safe. Hope everything's
Definitely,
all right.
100% prayers to all of them. And yeah, tough scenes over there in Southern California. So, but yeah, in terms of the Vikings Rams, we'll cover that last. But yeah, that's Denver and Buffalo for you. Both
It's
of us have
AFC.
Buffalo, so pretty simple. Very, we both have the same picks so far. We'll see if that changes here for these NFC matchups. First one, for the NFC, Packers and Eagles. This is a rematch of Week 1 in Brazil, where the Eagles won 34-29 in a field that looked terrible to
Horrific.
play on.
It was always the best. It was Saquon Barkley's first snap, and he slipped. I'm like,
Yeah,
yes, this is not gonna work. And
this is why we don't sign running backs. And then he kind
he
of
just compared to shove it down my throat the entire game.
kind of shoved it to us all year long. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but that was like, oh, this is gonna work, and it's gonna work really well.
Yeah. So let's start with the Packers, though, who, like you just mentioned, lost that Week 1 game, but they bounced back, winning 6 of the next 7 games afterwards, and they were 9-3 to start their the
Malik
year.
Willis starting a good chunk of those games. Love got hurt.
Right. That's right. Love, I think he missed 2 games due to injury this year, and then Malik Willis stepped in and kind of held down the fort really, really well. Now, after a 9-3 start, things kind of slowed down for the Packers. After that, they finished the year 2-3, including losses to Minnesota and the Chicago Bears in Week 18, which is a very depressing loss. But they entered the rough season in a bit of a rough patch. They lost Christian Watson for the rest of the year. He was placed on IR after that Week 18 game. And then Jordan Love departed that game as well on that same drive that Watson got hurt after losing feeling in his throwing hand. So those two major concerns. Yeah, Love is. I think he was set to play.
That's like when pitchers are like, I lost feeling in my elbow. It's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna get Tommy John surgery now.
Yeah,
that should happen.
I don't know exactly how he lost feeling in it. I didn't look into it too much.
It wrong,
but yeah, probably something. Or maybe he got tackled on a specific play. I kind of
he got hit the wrong way and it just pinched the nerve or something. Yeah, but no, that's terrifying.
Definitely. Love finished the year, though, regardless of missing those 2 games due to injury. 3,300 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. Josh Jacobs, another running back who was signed in the offseason and paid pretty well, I should say, had 15 rushing touchdowns, over 1,300 rushing yards. And for this Packers team, we mentioned it at the beginning of the year when we were, previewing all these teams. They don't have a receiver number 1, but that was not an issue for them as Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, Tavian Weeks at times stepped up all as a receiving core as a whole, and kind of helped create that production for this Packers offense. So now Watson's going to be out, like we just mentioned, so Dobbs will have to step up. We'll see what Jaden Reed can do. Reed isn't the most, he's a gadget guy. He's more of a Deebo Samuel type of guy, but he'll have to step up big as well in the receiving games because this Eagles team. Was much as we hate to say it, they're really freaking good. Well,
they're so freaking good.
They're good, but major concerns, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. 2-2 started to start the year for the Eagles. That was some concern there. They lost 22-21 to the Falcons early. They lost 33-16 to the Bucks in humid Tampa Bay. The NFC East, it looked wide open until it wasn't.
Yeah.
They went on a 10
I remember saying back in like week 5 or 6, this is the Commanders' conference to lose, and they lost it.
Once again, shove it up our throat, or down our throats.
Just down our throats.
They went on a 10-game winning streak to defeating the Bengals, Rams, Ravens, and Steelers along the way. It could have been 13 straight, honestly, if it wasn't for a 36-33 loss against the Commanders in Week 16. But we'll leave it as that. And they are also another example of why you pay running backs, as Saquon Barkley ran for over 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns on 345 carries. Also had
would have broken the record against us had not sat.
Yeah, I heard it was more of a respect thing he had for us. That's why he sat out.
Okay,
yeah.
You know what? Yeah, like I heard Saquon saying this stuff. I still hate him, but I guess I don't know.
Jalen Hurts had a great year on the ground with 14 rushing touchdowns, but his passing stats very subpar with 2,903 passing yards, 18 touchdowns compared to 5 interceptions. And A.J. Brown had a good receiving year with over 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith had 8 receiving touchdowns as well. But honestly, and of course defensively, Cooper DeJean, great building block for that defense. Quinyon Mitchell,
A
Jalen
defense you
Carter.
didn't think needed to get better, got better.
Oh yeah, a lot of great young, promising pieces on that defense. So
Mhm.
excited to see how they do for years to come. But definitely a great first or second year for Jalen Carter for all those guys on that defense. So, but yeah, I think major concern for me, buddy, is Hurts. Honestly,
Yeah, Hurts is the Achilles heel of this Eagles team because
mhm,
if he doesn't like just be a game manager, it's gonna mess everything up.
he
Like
is banged up too. Also,
yes, like if you're a defensive coordinator, your job is to stop. You have to let Hurts beat you with his arm. You can't let
yes.
Saquon Barkley beat you. If you have to force Hurts to throw, and if he beats you with his arm, okay, that's fine. But you got a much better chance winning if Hurts has to throw the ball than if Saquon has to run it.
You can live with him beating you with his arm, with his legs, and most of that rushing production is like um,
Scrambling, nothing's open, so we'll just take off. And the tush pushes help a lot.
there you go. I was trying to
They
think of
help so
what's it called
much.
again? It is a tush push, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like Saquon Barkley has had a great year. You can stop him though. You have a fighter's chance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the Packers, after what we saw from week one, I know it's week one, but like
If
Saquon had a pretty great good game against him in Brazil.
if the Packers were healthier, I would give them a better shot in this game. But they're so banged up. I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, going Eagles as well. So yeah, we'll see. The
See, so all
Eagles.
you people saying I'm all biased against Philly, I just picked Philly. So
And
screw
you
off.
never pick Philly. Rarely pick Philly, I should say. I say never, but you rarely pick Philly. All right.
They
Number
still suck, all of them.
Yes, they do. All right. Matchup number 5 of the wild card round, Commanders and Bucks. Also another rematch from week one. The Bucks
Kind
won
of a dud.
37-20.
Kind of
Uh,
like this is a game like I feel like every game you could be like somewhat excited for. This one, there's just no juice.
yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just
Yeah.
eh.
Out of all the ones that could be identified as quote unquote boring, this game identifies as that one.
Yeah.
For the Commanders, though, they won 7 of their next 8 games after that loss to the Bucks, including beating us in week 2 and also the Bengals in week 3. Impressive win by the Bengals too, 38-33. Won their last 5 straight games to end the year. And Jaden Daniels, though, definitely Rookie of the Year candidate, had a
Without
great
question.
year, 100%. Led the team in both passing, obviously, but also rushing with 6 touchdowns and 809 rushing yards. So he's definitely going to battle with Bo Nix for Rookie of the Year. Our boy Malik Neighbors will be part of that race, but it's most likely going to
And I
either of those 2
cashed out on that
quarterbacks.
one.
Oh,
Got a
you
whole
did?
2 cents back.
Nice. When it wasn't Jaden Daniels rushing the football, it was Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler stepping up with 4 touchdowns apiece. Terry McLaurin stepping up he's always been the receiver number 1, but had another great season for the Commanders as well, with 82 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 13 receiving touchdowns. Bobby Wagner reuniting with head coach Dan Quinn from their days in Seattle when Quinn was the defensive coordinator in 2012 and 2013. Had 132 tackles to lead the Commanders. As for the Bucks, they took home the 3rd seed after a 10-7 season and winning the NFC South, a weak division that was most likely going to the Falcons to start the year before
Yeah,
the
that was
Falcons tumbled.
just
Yeah,
shot themselves.
yeah, definitely.
Kirk Cousins sucked.
Yeah, things started off slow for the Bucks.
Who
Baker
would have
Mayfield.
thought the move that didn't work for the Falcons would be Kirk Cousins?
I know. Hey,
Like
yeah,
everyone's like, yeah, that's a good move.
and it was like, oh well, no, it's not anymore, and he's on his way out this offseason.
Yeah,
So,
that's a nice cat. That's a nice dead cap hit they're gonna have.
a messy situation to say the least for the Atlanta
Did
Falcons.
you take
But
Kirk as your quarterback next year for us?
nope.
Sounded like a league. What about like a league minimum?
Yeah, I'll consider it. There's better options.
I'm not saying there's better options. I'm just saying I wouldn't hate it.
After what I saw, it's like
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be good, but
ticking
like the
time
Giants
bomb.
are going to be good next year. So like,
Yeah,
why
true.
not just be fun?
Yeah, I guess so. True. But yeah, for the Bucks, Baker Mayfield was a consistent top 10 quarterback all year long. But they were 4-6 to start the year, had 4 straight losses from week 7 through 10 against the Bucks. The Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, and the Niners. But a bye week sometimes is all you need to kind of get things back on track. And they started the bye week with the 30-7 win over the Giants, where they won 6 of the last 7 games to officially clinch the NFC South. Baker Mayfield had over 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, I should say. So kind of a bit of a concern there, but 41 touchdowns is pretty impressive. Shout out to Bucky Irving, by the way, the running back, their 4th-round rookie, had over 1,000 yards after kind of low-key just being the backup behind Rachaad White for most of the season. It kind of came on late, had a great end to the regular season, was top 10 in rushing yards, and had 8 touchdowns, I should say, as well. Chris Godwin went down with that gruesome leg injury on Monday Night Football towards the middle of the season. So kind of question marks kind of were there in terms of the receiving game. And Mike Evans missed a few games of his own, but this Bucs offense survived. Mike Evans had another 1,000-yard season, so congrats to him as well. Kate Otten, Sterling Shepard, and Jalen McMillan stepped up when both Evans and Godwin were hurt at that point in time. And we'll see what happens with Tampa's offense. In terms of their defense, Levante David leads the way with 122 tackles. And officially, Zay Flowers will not be playing as a court. Yeah,
boom.
Officially.
Steelers, hammer him. I might legit take him this afternoon before that line, because that line's going to move.
Brian's pick of the week. But yeah, overall, this game is a bit of a toss-up. It's going to be in Tampa. I'm going to roll with the Commanders.
I'm going with the Bucks.
Okay.
I'm going with the Bucks. I like what I've seen the past few weeks, and the Commanders, they're a great team. They're going to be – I love what Dan Quinn's doing there. Jaden Daniels is going to be a great quarterback there. I just think they're ahead of schedule.
Okay. Yeah, I don't blame you whatsoever. I think for me, like we mentioned, Baker and the Bucks have had a great season, but if there's any sort of quote unquote upset that could happen, I think it's the Commanders.
It's this one, yeah.
With this young core, with Daniels leading the way, McLaurin, stepping up has like he's had, Zach Ertz being a solid number 2 guy as well. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling about Washington that if there's anything that can pull it off.
I wouldn't be surprised by this at all if it was Washington. I just want to roll with the veterans who have played in big games before, who know what that atmosphere is going to be like. Like, sure, Jane Daniels played in big games, but nothing like NFL playoff game.
So it's going to be an interesting game to watch there. Like you mentioned, a bit of a toss-up, and we'll see what happens there. I think they are the Sunday night matchup. That I can say for sure. They are the Sunday night matchup.
Not a bad one. So, that's a nice closer to your week.
Not a bad
all right, nothing else is on. I guess we'll just watch this matchup.
Yeah. And finally, the last wildcard matchup is the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams. Vikings 14-3. Crazy out of the 5th seed, but that's just how the playoff structure works. The Rams are 10-7. They won the NFC West on their end. Now for the Vikings, they were solid all year long. Kevin O'Connell, outstanding head coach, definitely coach of the year by far. Sam Darnold had a big resurgence. The Vikings 5-0 to start the year, won 9 of the last 10 games to cap off an outstanding regular season. Sam Darnold had over 4,300 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Aaron Jones, a free agent who came from the Packers to the Vikings, had a good season as well with over 1,000 rushing yards of his own. And Justin Jefferson, not as good of a season like Jamar Chase had, but a solid season for Jefferson. To me, it's the second best receiver this year.
Yeah,
after Jamar Chase, with over 1,500 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. Jordan Addison stepping up as that receiver number 2, as he should, with 9 touchdowns of his own and over 800 receiving yards. Defensively, Byron Murphy leads the way with 14 pass deflections and 6 interceptions. Andrew Van Ginkel had 11.5 sacks and 2 pick sixes this year. One of them against, you guessed it, our Giants in week 1. As for the Rams,
I think that moment I left the stadium. I think that was the one that did it for you. I think that would send me to the parking lot. It was that, and then they weren't selling beer anymore. I'm like, well, if I can't drown my sorrows in the stadium, I'm going outside. There's free beer in the parking lot. Everyone, let's go.
Let's go.
My dad's like, all right, yeah, that makes way more sense to sit here.
There's no point in staying. The team was already losing as it is.
So. The game was over. The game was over, so the quarter to go. Let's go get drunk in the parking lot.
A common theme all every single one of these teams, or not every single one, but Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, their first or one of their key wins in the year was against the Giants. That's when things picked up for them, was beating us, and then that's when their hot streak began. So, Giants, you did something right. You
You
helped the
can't
teams.
say it picked up the hot streak because you beat the Giants.
Yeah, but it was the start of their quote unquote hot streak, I
It was
guess.
the start, but like anyone can beat the Giants. There's some high schoolers that could beat the Giants. There's some elite prep high schoolers probably could put up a good fight against the Giants.
Fair enough. But for the Rams, my God, their 2024 season started off ugly for them. They lost to Detroit in overtime in week 1, 26-20. They got blown up by the Cardinals, 41-10, and they were like 1-4 in the first 5 weeks. But like the Bucks, bye week is all you need to bounce back. They won 3 straight after that against the Raiders, Vikings, and Seahawks, and they won 5 of their last 6 games to finish the year 10-7 and clinched the division in Week 17 with a ugly 13-9 win over the Arizona Cardinals. But this Rams team, look, they can get things going on offense when they want to. We saw that clearly against the Buffalo Bills, where they won at SoFi and they upset the Bills. Matthew Stafford, over 37 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks. Kyren Williams, over 1,200 rushing yards. Despite not having a 1,000-yard season at receiver, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp had pretty good seasons of their own. And on defense, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, both teammates at Florida State, were drafted together this past offseason, had solid seasons of their own. But here's the thing. The big concern for me is that Rams offense, because if they can get it going, they are an upset alert.
I was going to say,
against this Vikings team.
It doesn't look like an upset alert, but it is.
But it is. Because as well as this Viking team has played,
last week left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Like Sam Darnold, when it mattered the most, did not show up. That was Jets Sam Darnold we saw on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And if, the Rams can, do the same thing Lions did, which is constantly get pressure on them, you're going to see a similar performance.
Yeah. And there's been moments, especially late in the year, where kind of Darnold didn't look like himself, like he looked in the beginning of the season.
Himself.
Yeah, he looked like him. Like he looked like the old self.
It was the earlier in the season where Sam Darnold wasn't looking like himself.
Yeah, he was on fire to start the year, and he was doing good in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, but just late in the year, just kind of those rough performances where it's like that's the Sam Darnold of old that we're used to seeing.
Oh, that's the Sam Darnold we know and love.
Yeah, damn right. And
some team's going to mistake and give him a long-term contract. Please don't let it be us, for the love of God.
Be us. But yeah, this game has potential, honestly, to be a really good one or just an ugly one because both teams struggle on offense, and both defenses are more than capable of getting stops and stuff. Especially the Vikings with Brian Flores being the great defensive coordinator as he is, and just transforming his defense to a top 10 unit. And the Rams have had have good players on this defense as well, like we just mentioned. But I don't know. I think just the Rams scare me, but in a good way and a bad way, because they can put up points. But just with the injuries that they've dealt with all year long, I just don't know. Also, kind of a toss-up. Give me Minnesota. I think defensively, if there's one unit that's going to get it done, it will be Minnesota between the two. So give me the Vikings to win this. It'll be close. But I'll be
bold. Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams in the upset.
Okay. All right.
Let's
we both
go.
have upsets.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So those are your 6 wildcard matchups. Any other thoughts on Rams Vikings, buddy?
Not much. Just the Rams Viking one is going to be a great game to watch on Monday night. Hopefully they can figure everything out with the fires and stuff going on.
Definitely
over there.
So the plan is that the game is still scheduled to be played in LA on Monday night. Okay, if things go down to shit, they will be playing in Arizona on Monday, which
it's not terrible, but like I feel like why can't you move them up to like Santa Clara, like keep them in California.
Still,
like I don't know how badly San Francisco is being affected by the fires right now, but like
not as much, I would say.
Yeah,
but that is
could you move them a little north so they're in the same state?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good point, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and the fires are wreaking havoc on San Francisco right now. I don't know, but that's just what That'd be my first thought was, well, why don't you just throw it with the 49ers? The 49ers aren't using it.
Yeah, because they have a.
I remember that there was wildfires a few years ago, and the Giants and 49ers played a Monday night game in San Francisco, and like the smoke, you could still see the smoke everywhere. And they were questioning like, could he play this game, and then the Giants just blew it.
Don't know how they got that done, but
I don't know how they got that done either. No, but like I remember that game. Yeah, it was a bad one for the Giants too.
Yeesh, terrible. But those are your 6 wildcard matchups. We hope you guys enjoyed those. It's going to be fun, and then we'll review all those games on Tuesday. But before we go, 2 college football matchups that we got to discuss real quick. Texas and Ohio State. That's going to be a good matchup on Friday. I got the Buckeyes. Keep it simple.
I got Buckeyes too. Yep. Yeah, Texas look good, but they have played they allow teams to come back. So like even if Texas jumps out this big lead, just wait. Ohio State will make it up.
Yeah, they had a great offensive output against Clemson, but they almost lost to them. Clemson came back, and then they
got off to a really fast start against Arizona State and allowed Arizona State to come back in that game. Like I remember putting the game on, it was like 21-0. I'm like, oh, I'm not watching this. And then I'm like, what do you mean the game went to double overtime?
That's what I'm saying. They barely won in overtime. And then you have the Buckeyes, who made Oregon look completely silly.
The number 1 team in the country in the Rose Bowl.
By the way, big goal for me is to go to the Rose Bowl.
Beautiful. That's one of mine too. I'd love to go to the Rose Bowl one day.
Big atmosphere. Hell yeah. But yeah, I got the Buckeyes.
Yeah,
O-H-I-O. Will Howard, not the best quarterback in the nation, but he'll get the job done. And
Ewers.
Yeah, especially Ewers. Oh my God. If they put Arch in, maybe he's got a fighter's chance. Maybe I'm reaching too far, but Arch is better than Quinn Ewers by far. Especially next year too. Arch is definitely taking over as a QB1.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Quinn Ewers probably going to if Quinn Ewers is going to transfer or go to the draft, he's not going to Texas. It won't be at Texas next year.
He should not go for the draft. I'll tell you that right now.
He shouldn't, but he probably will. It depends on what he gets in the NIL offers and the transfer stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, the Buckeyes with Henderson and Judkins the backfield. Jeremiah Smith, a great freshman, showed out last against Oregon. And yeah, Emeka Egbuka as well. Just Ohio State always creates great receivers. Now, not as good as LSU.
No,
from recent
5 years, like I said, 5 years they'll be wide receiver you again.
You didn't mention
take it back.
Yeah, that's true. And last but not least, I'll let you have the floor for this one, buddy. Penn State, Notre Dame. You boys have made it this far. It's been a great year for you guys. What are the keys to this game for the Irish? I assume you have the Irish winning. I have them too. But yes, the keys to the game for the Irish.
Key to this game is, establish the run early like you did against Georgia. That's a really good Penn State defensive line. They stop Gentry, which was, seen as something no team could do. They were able to stop them. So you have to be able to get that two-headed monster going with Love and Price. And then I would also look at getting Fajan in the game more, the wide receiver. You got maybe if it's jet sweeps, short passes, you have to get him involved because he's going to be a special player for the team. And then as terms for defense, you got to make Drew Aller uncomfortable. Just basically repeat what you did against Georgia. Don't let him beat you. And I think Al Golden can do a really good job. So I have Notre Dame winning. I think they're going to win. I'm going to go with 28-17 is what I'm thinking.
Just one win away from the national championship.
One win away from the Natty.
One win away. It's going to be fun too if you guys win it. And you guys play tonight as we are recording this. So it's going to be definitely a fun matchup to see between these two teams tonight and Ohio State in Texas tomorrow, which is Friday. So that will do it for this episode. You can follow us on social media, Brian at BrianPG1016. You can follow me at Nathan_Nguyen24, and you can follow our podcast pages on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Third and 10 Pod. Once again, Brian is 2 for 2 in terms of pointing our social media pages. We'll keep track of that.
We're off to the new year. Going well, boys. We're off. I'm telling you, we're going to mess up on next week.
We hope you don't. We'll hope you keep the hot streak going.
That's not happening.
So check out our clips as well on our social media pages. And we hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the NFL games Saturday and Sunday and Monday as well. We'll be back with you guys on Tuesday. And
great football week. We have 5 days of playoff football. I just realized that today, Friday, Saturday. Oh my God. Oh, it's a football fans heaven right now. I'm going to bet on every single game responsibly.
Of course you are. I'm not surprised.
Responsibly.
Please
Shout
gamble
out FanDuel.
responsibly. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. But for Brian, I'm Nate. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the football weekend. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Go Irish, baby. Let's see it.